Hello，同学们，大家好，我是 Zivia。那近期有很多同学来咨询说，戴着口罩会不会影响口语的发音和识别？那是因为培生官网放出了一个公告，就是说所有在进行考场考试的同学们都是需要全程佩戴口罩来考试。那其实对于写作、阅读、听力的话，都不会很担心，是因为就是戴着口罩也不会影响你打字什么都不会影响。但是呢，同学们更多的担心是会不会影响口语。会不会影响口语的分数、发音识别会不会受到影响？那我们呢就试试看，戴着口罩来做这个模考。那在做这个模考的过程当中就是该用到的所有的技巧，不管是换 something、套模板这些，我都会用到。好，咱们那就开始吧。首先，先来试一下电脑的声音。Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 还可以。好，然后进入到考试的界面。好，那我们来做这个模考 C。The main difference on this occasion was that the colonist was not just fighting against the king, who was determined to use his own something 该换 something 还是换 something？ 我们呢在预读的时候就要换好 something， 并且呢把这个 something 掺到这个议群里面去调整一下它的重要度。To use his own something. They were also fighting against the parliament, which believed that it and it alone should raise taxes and control revenues, rights which had been won in the previous century. The main difference on this occasion was that the colonist was not just fighting against the king, who was determined to use his own something. They were also fighting against the parliament, which believed that it and it alone should raise taxes and control revenues, rights which had been won in the previous century. A scientist's evidence is thought to be reliable because it will have been tested and verified at every stage. This is not, of course, infallible, as scientists are subject to human error, as much as the rest of us. 这篇比较短，只有一行出头一些，一行半都不到。The scientist's evidence is thought to be reliable because it has been tested and verified at every stage. This is not, of course, infallible, as scientists are subject to human error, as much as the rest of us. 刚刚转行的时候卡了一下 ，Scientists are subject to human error. 转行没有来得及看呢，这也是一个问题。The most obvious change is that 46% of colleges undergraduates are now women. When I went there, it was only the third year that women have been admitted, and about 70% of students are male. OK， 这里面两个数字需要注意一下 ，46%、70%。The most obvious change is that 46% of colleges undergraduates are now women. When I went there, it was only the third year that women had been admitted, and about 70% of students were male. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. Think of millions of different media images you are bombarded with every day. It's as important now to be able to read and make sense of those images as it has been to be able to read ordinary text. As it has been to be able 有点拗口 as it has been to be able to read ordinary text. Okay. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. Think of millions of different media images you are bombarded with every day. It's as important now to be able to read and make sense of those images as it has been to be able to read ordinary text. In the past, wars have led to inflation and higher commodity prices. Fighting disrupts trade and prevents raw materials from being shipped from one country to another. In Second World War Britain, a banana was the height of luxury. 这边的这个第二句的开头有些拗口啊 ，Fighting disrupts trade and prevents raw material. Okay. In the past, wars have led to inflation and higher commodity prices. Fighting disrupts trade and prevents raw materials from being shipped from one country to another. In the Second World War Britain, a banana was the height of luxury. Globalization refers to a set of changes. Rather than a single change, many of these changes are social, cultural, and political, rather than purely economic, and one of the main drivers, in addition to the global marketplace, is the communication revolution. OK， 戴着口罩呢，就如果说大口呼吸的话，会觉得有一点点的小影响吧，但是正常的发音什么，我觉得还是没有什么太大的影响，就是吸气的时候，小口小口的吸。Globalization refers to a set of changes rather than a single change. Many of these changes are social, cultural, and political, rather than purely economic. And one of the main drivers, in addition to the global marketplace, is the communications revolution. OK， 接下来是 repeat sentence 了。
An understanding of mathematics is vital for most science subjects.
Understanding of mathematics is vital for most science subjects.
If we work on this together, we'll get through it quickly.
If we work on this together, we'll get through it quickly.
The new law professor used to work for the World Bank.
The new law professor used to work for the World Bank.
Many environment experts are very concerned about the future of our planet.
Many of our experts are very concerned about the future of our planet.
The graph shows the percentage of people who smoke according to gender.
The graph shows the percentage of people of smokers according to gender.
The meeting is always on the third Wednesday of the month.
The meeting is always on the third Wednesday of the month.
We can go anywhere, do anything, achieve any height.
We can go anywhere, do anything, achieve any height. 我稍微把头发，录进去了。
Construction of the Empire State Building in New York was completed in 1931.
The construction of Empire State Building in New York was complete in 1961. 这个头发擦到这个。
People under 70 have a higher quality of life than those over 70.
People under 70 have a higher quality of life than those over 70.
The area of Canada is more than 3.8 million square miles.
The area of Canada is more than 3.8 million square miles. 好，接下来是 DI 了，看一下 road traffic, Great Britain. When we look at all motor vehicles, we can see an increase in the period from 1952 to 2005. When we look at cars and taxis, we can see an increase in the whole period. In which all motor vehicles, and the largest number is around 500 million. This graph shows information about road traffic in Great Britain. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at all motor vehicles, we can see an increase in the period from 1952 to 2005. When we look at cars and taxis, we can see an increase in the whole period. According to the graph, we can see that the largest number can be found around 500 million. In conclusion, all motor vehicles is always larger than cars and taxis. This graph shows UK unemployment rate from 1971 to 2006. 1971 to 1983 was an increase in whole 1991 was a decrease in whole period. This graph shows information about UK unemployment rate from 1971 to 2006. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at the first period from 1971 to 1983, we can see an increase in the period. When we look at the next period from 1983 to 1988, we can see a decrease in the period. According to the graph, we can see that in the next period from 1991 to 1993, we can see an increase in the period. In conclusion, the largest number can be found in 1983, which is about 12%, and the smallest number can be found in 1971, which is 4%. 哎呀，没录进去最后。OK， 好吧。Sales by quarter. Product XYZ. 我们看 product Z. The largest number. 哎呀，这个图是竖着的，竖着看。The largest number can be found in quarter one. The smallest number can be found in quarter two. Look at product one. The largest number can be found in quarter three, and the smallest number can be found in quarter two. Sales by quarter. This graph shows information about sales by quarter. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at product Z, the largest number can be found in quarter one, and the smallest number can be found in quarter four. When we look at product Y, the largest number can be found in quarter three, and the smallest number can be found in quarter two. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at product X, the largest number can be found in quarter one, and the smallest number can be found in quarter four. In conclusion, this graph shows sales by quarter in the year 2004. This one shows life expectancy at birth in Australia. When we look at males, we can see an increase in Australia from 1995 to 2005. When we look at males, we see an increase in the whole period. The largest number can be 80 years old. When we look at females. This graph shows information about life expectancy at birth in Australia from 1995 to 2005. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at males, we can see an increase in the whole period from 1995 to 2005, and the largest number can be found around 80 years. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at females, we can see an increase in the whole period, and the largest number can be found in around 85 years. In conclusion, this graph shows information about life expectancy at birth in Australia, and the life expectancy of females is always larger than males. Adult literacy by region, literacy rates by sex from 2000 to 2004. When we look at females, the largest number can be found in Latin America, which is around 89%. And the smallest number can be found in Africa, which is 52%. When we look at males, the largest number. This graph shows information about adult literacy by region and literacy rates by sex from 2000 to 2004. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at the female, the largest number can be found in Latin America, which is around 89%, and the smallest number can be found in Africa, which is around 52%. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at males, the largest number can be found in Latin America, which is 91%, and the smallest number can be found in Africa, which is 70%. In conclusion, this graph shows adult literacy. This graph shows 我刚刚有一个数字好像说错了，53说了52，但是呢，说完之后我也不想改了，就这样吧，没关系。About economic conditions in Philippines from 2000 to 2004. We look at consumer price index was increased from look at okay. This graph shows information about economic conditions in the Philippines from 2000 to 2004. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at consumer price index, we can see an increase from 100 to 120. According to the graph, we can see that when we look at GDP, we can see an increase from 100 to 140. And the largest number can be found in 2004, and the smallest number can be found in 2000. In conclusion, this graph shows information about economic conditions in the Philippines from 2000 to 2004. 好，接下来要做 DI 了。
Take the coffee industry. The figures are roughly these. The coffee market in the world is worth about 60 billion. The growers get about 5.5 billion. 10 years ago, the market was about 30 billion, and the growers got a third of that. What has happened? What has happened is that well-meaning people, Americans, Germans, Europeans, decided that they would help Vietnam. And so they created a coffee industry there, which is now the second biggest producer in the world. This has had serious effects on other countries like Colombia that depend on coffee exports.
Okay. This lecture mainly talks about the coffee industry. In the first part of lecture, the speaker says something about market is 60 billion and the growth is 5.5 billion. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about American and European people decide to help Vietnam. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about they create coffee industry. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about the second biggest producer in the world. In conclusion, this graph shows, In conclusion, this lecture mainly talks about the coffee industry in Vietnam. 中间和 DI 的混了。
You can see that the two charts each give quite a different picture of the performance of boys and girls in the two key subjects of maths and English. It shows that in English, girls consistently outperform boys over a period of 6 years, achieving scores about 10% above their male peers. There is quite a different picture when we look at the maths results, with no real difference between genders in the results. What is the explanation for these key differences? To answer this question, researchers look at biological and cognitive factors and a range of social factors. The interaction between these different components in early childhood development are seen as maintained and reinforced in the school context, and this leads to distinct gender patterns of behaviour in skills with direct consequences for school performance and achievement. The argument uses this evidence to show that biological factors, such as patterns of cognitive development, are closely linked to social factors, such as learned gender categories. These cognitive skills are learned both preschool and subsequently at school, supported by the responses of teachers, creating a reinforcement of patterns.
This lecture mainly talks about the performance of boys and girls in math and English. In the first part of the lecture, the speaker says something that about in English, girls outperform boys over 6 years. Also, the speaker mentioned that different pictures in math results and no real difference. Also, the speaker also says something about key difference and biological factors and cognitive factors and social factors. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about early child development and gender patterns. In conclusion, this lecture mainly talks about performance of boys and girls in math and English.
In our survey, over 100 CEOs who had recently been through an acquisition or merger were asked which areas of their activities needed the most effort. As you can see, the most frequent response to this question was that information technology requires the most integration effort. According to 58% of those we surveyed, IT was the most time-consuming and needed the most work. This is understandable, as many of the IT issues are extremely complex, and the consequences of any change in IT can have a significant impact. The key is how quickly and effectively IT integration can be achieved, and there has to be a clear understanding of the consequences there may be of not getting it right. The two other areas requiring significant attention, sales, marketing and business development on the one hand, and financial management on the other, both were selected by 49% of the respondents.
This lecture mainly talks about a survey about 100 CEO. In the first part of the lecture, the speaker says something about which area needs most effort, and the answer is information technology. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about the IT is the most time-consuming and needs the most work. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about the extremely complex and significant impact. In the next part of the lecture, the speaker says something about sales, marketing, and business development. In conclusion, this lecture mainly talks about survey about 100 CEO.
Which country has the third largest population in the UK?
Third largest. Wales.
Camels are most likely to be found in what habitat?
Desert.
On a compass, which direction is the direct opposite of southwest?
Northeast.
What do most successful businesses aim to do? Make a profit, declare bankruptcy, or comply with audits?
Make a profit.
What is it called when the price of goods and services steadily increases over a period of time?
Inflation.
What mistake has the student made when trying to access the site?
Invalid password.
Algebra, calculus, and trigonometry are divisions of which academic field?
Mathematics.
What campus building would you go to if you wanted to borrow a book or magazine?
Library.
Is a profit a loss in funds or a gain in funds?
Gain of funds. 其实刚才我不知道。
What energy source does this light bulb need in order to function?
Electricity. OK， 这个是小作文，我们所有的后面的题全部都不做，全部都 next。这样的话，我们就能看出来你的口语就只是纯口语的分数。OK， 全部都不做。这是阅读的题也不做 ，next， 全部都 next。听力的题也不做，全部都 next。
Is there a moment of panic?
这种感觉还挺爽的，全部都点 next。Submit， OK。 The text is not complete. You'll probably okay. 好，那我们就等成绩啦。好了，同学们，在记10分钟的等待之后啊，这个就出分了。我们来看一下，今天这个是做的模考 C，5月13号下午3点的这一个。口语总分还是90，然后流利度90，发音74。那其实是这样子的，就是发音的这个74呢，我觉得不是因为我本身的这个戴了口罩的原因，是因为这个耳机的原因，就是我觉得，因为其实用那个考试一样的那个型号的那样子的一个耳机的话，就是发音流利度都是90，就是每一次试验都是90，都不会有什么问题的。但是呢，就是用自己手机的耳机的时候，发现就是发音分可能会有一点点的偏差啦，但是没有关系，正式考试的时候就是还是90，考试专用的耳机就是可以，但是也不用太担心了，因为 anyway 我们最后哪怕是用的这个自己的这个耳机，总分也没有影响嘛，总分还是90分。然后呢，我们来看一下，在我们只做口语的情况下，现在呢给听力是加了42分，那是什么加来的？就是 repeat sentence 和 return lecture 还有 answer your question 这3个题型给听力加的分嘛。然后呢，看一下阅读是有32了。那只做了口语的情况下，阅读的32分是 read aloud 给加上的。那其实大家在刚刚的整个做模考的过程当中，因为都录屏了嘛，我其实还是有很多的小失误的，比如说会有一些小卡壳，然后呢，有的时候 return lecture 像第一个 return lecture 念着念着就念回到刚刚的那个 DI 的模板上去，也是有可能的。其实很多同学都有同样的问题，因为刚刚说好了6个 DI， 所以 DI 的模板说的特别的顺的时候，然后呢，第一个 return lecture 就会说着又会想要说到之前的DI 的模板了，也无所谓嘛。其实像刚刚的处理的话，哪怕我是说了in conclusion， 然后呢又要说到DI 的模板了 ，this graph shows information， 发现不太对，再立马改回来也无所谓，可以的。或者是不改了，就直接就是 this graph shows information 吧，加上你的 return lecture topic 也是可以的，没有太大的关系。其实口语的容错率是真的很大，就是哪怕我今天做了很多的失误，我换了 something， 我有卡壳，我也有念错字，然后呢，我也有模板说着给背差了，这种几种情况我都出现了，但是最后还是90分，所以就是希望大家就是不要有担忧了，就是戴着口罩，就是能考90还是能考90，但是是什么？就是如果有同学口语有问题，是什么阻挡我们是拿不到满分？可能就是本身的，比如说我们发音注意了没有？流利度就真正这个机器让你考的流利度，不是说我从头到尾哒哒哒哒哒像机关枪一样的念，一群节奏有没有？虚词弱话有没有？那发音方面，一个是单层面的重音你有没有？句层面的重音你有没有？那重弱读在一起的结合，就会让我们说话变得是有抑扬顿挫、有节奏。所以就说，很多时候就是发音和流利度在一起，是展现你一个说话的一个方式的。就 native speaker， 他们就是按照这样子重弱读的说话是有节奏说的。那如果大家有口语方面的问题呢，我也是希望大家可以直接来联系我们的小助手，联系我，我们可以做一些测评，做一些分析。那有的同学可能是发音本身会有一些硬伤，这也是可以通过纠正纠过来的。那有些同学本身发音没有什么问题，只是说没有真正意识到这个机器 PT 到底想要考你的是什么。那各方面的问题都是有可能的，所以呢，就是如果是自己有一些难解决的，或者是自己在学习当中遇到了困难，都可以来咨询。好，今天的这个戴着口罩做模考的视频呢，就到这结束了。那上面这个二维码呢，就是小助手的微信二维码，有问题的同学呢，也都是可以直接来添加这个小助手的微信号来咨询。感谢大家观看，咱们下期再见啦。